Hey there, I'm the MadCatster. Am I glad to see you here? Well, we have a special royal edition of the MadCatster show for you today. And in the wake of the Queen's passing, God rest her soul, and I do mean that sincerely, we are going to talk about Meghan and Harry for a couple of minutes and about some of the rumors that have been going around surrounding their return to London for the funeral, and whether the Queen placed a curse on Meghan on her deathbed, and whether the royal family blames Meghan for the decline of the royal family, and whether she's working to destroy the monarchy, whether she really cried at the Queen's funeral. Just a few things that there's a lot of rumor and innuendo going on about. I want to clear it up, so I'm going to turn it over to our very own royal correspondent, Mr. Shady, who happens to be an expert in all things royal. So let's get into it. Good evening, gentle viewers. I'm coming to you tonight in a special broadcast from my Grace and Favor studio apartment at Kensington Palace, which King Charles III has ordered me to vacate forthwith, so I'm in the process of packing my bags and moving back to the States just like Meghan and Harry. Oh, by the way, before any of you make a smart-ass remark, no, I am not trying to impersonate Rich Lux. This happens to be my ceremonial royal crown, and I sent my equerry to the jewel house of the Tower of London to retrieve it from the royal vault just for this special occasion. The king has given me special permission to wear my crown. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Shady has been a royal watcher for all of his life. Anyway, so we mourn the passing of the Queen, and we respect the fact that whatever you think of the royal family, for 70 years she gave herself to that job and worked tirelessly doing the duties that she was saddled with, and even literally to the very end when her health was declining a couple of days before she died, she met with the new British Prime Minister. So, you know, God bless you, Queen Elizabeth. She was a class act. So anyway, so let's talk about some of the things that have been being talked about. Harry and Meghan, the black sheep of the royal family. We won't talk about Prince Andrew. That's a whole nother episode. As a lot of you may know, a couple of years ago, Harry and Meghan decided that they didn't want to participate in the life of the royal family and all of the schedule that goes along with that. And, you know, because they do receive funding from the crown, they are required to do certain duties and certain engagements, and it's a very full schedule. And they decided they wanted to go make money the old-fashioned way back in the United States, and so they were banished from the kingdom and sent in exile to live in a multi-million-dollar mansion in Southern California. And they had to give up their Royal Highness titles because being a Royal Highness means that you're on the payroll, and they're not on payroll anymore. So for those of you who don't know, that wasn't like an act of nastiness from the Queen. That was because if you're a Royal Highness, you are on the payroll, and they're not on the payroll anymore. So Harry's still a prince. I wanted to clear that one thing up. They didn't lose those titles of Royal Highness because somebody wanted to bitch slap them for leaving England. But anyway, so let's talk about some of the rumors. Everybody says, oh, Meghan Markle, she hates the royal family. She's trying to destroy them. She's such a horrible person. And, you know, I'm not a Meghan lover or a Meghan hater. I like Meghan Markle as far as I used to watch her when she was on Suits. I don't know her personally, so I don't know what she's like. But I think she gets maligned a little excessively. You know, I'm not saying she's been the best person or said the right things. I don't think she should be shit on as much as she's been. So let's start with first, okay, they moved to California. So supposedly there's a big rift, but believe it or not, my understanding is the Queen actually really did like Meghan. And from what I've heard, Harry was like her favorite grandchild. And so I don't think that there was any real bad blood between the Queen and Harry and Meghan. I don't know about William and Harry. I know there's been some division there, but we don't really know what the story is. So I'm not even going to speculate. So they went back for the funeral, and there was a lot of controversy about, you know, what they got invited to, what they didn't get invited to. And basically, they didn't get invited to some things, not because the royal family hates them again. It's because there's a very strict protocol. There were several official events that they were not invited to attend because they were working royal events, even though it was part of the Queen's, whole week of mourning and funeral. But that's why, not because they were getting snubbed. And in fact, the king, it's so hard to call him the king. He's been Prince Charles my whole freaking life. But the king actually instructed Harry to wear, because he's not supposed to wear his military uniform because he's not working, asked that he please wear his uniform. I don't think there's as big a division as people think there is. I don't think that there's like this hatred among them. I think there's some disappointment on the side of the royal family because Meghan and Harry did that scandalous interview with Oprah, which I watched, and frankly, I was cringing through the whole thing because, first of all, when Meghan got engaged to Harry and married him, she knew what she was getting into, people. This is not a secret. People know the British royal family has very strict structures. So I don't know if she thought she could go in there and like shake it up, but that was a big mistake if she did, because ain't gonna happen. Maybe slowly, but not probably the way she wanted it to. I think it was very bad taste for them to give Oprah an interview. And I think some of the things that Meghan said, whether they're true or not, should not have been aired in public. She alleged that someone in the royal family was racist, and we never got a name. I think I know who it is, and I think they're dead now, but I don't think that was something that needed to be said. I think that was probably very hurtful to the Queen, and especially because we don't have all the facts. And Meghan complained about she didn't think her kids would be made prince and princess because speculation about his skin color, when in fact that's not true, people. And that's one of the myths I want to clear up. The only people that are prince and princess when they're born are the grandchildren of the sovereign, and obviously they're their children. So, like Harry and William became princes automatically, and especially, their father obviously was first in line for the throne, and Prince Andrew's children are princess. But two of them, Anne and Edward, the Queen's other two children, none of their kids are prince or princess. And that wasn't because of anything the Queen did. That's because Princess Anne and Prince Edward did not want their children to be called prince and princess. So they got other what they call courtesy titles. So that was a decision made by their parents. Getting back to Archie. So when the Queen died, based on the rules that were set up by King George V, Archie and Lilibet automatically became prince and princess, and technically they're also supposed to be royal highness. However, I don't think that they're going to be able to use royal highness because of two things. The first is the fact that Harry and Meghan have withdrawn from official duties and are no longer royal highness. I don't think it would be appropriate or make any sense that their kids would be royal highness. And also because I think King Charles is going to change the rules. And some people said he's going to not let them be prince and princess. I don't think that's true. I don't think he would do that, because I think that would really look bad, and that would look particularly spiteful and nasty. So I don't think he is going to do that. But I think for practical reasons, he's not going to let them use Royal Highness, because that then entitles them to certain benefits at the expense of the monarchy. And since they're not part of that working royal group, they're not going to really be entitled to. And I think that's fair. If Meghan wants her children to be Royal Highness, then she needs to get back on a plane and get back over to London and start working again as a royal. Okay? If she wants to be in Hollywood and wants to make TV shows and do other stuff, then she's got to deal with the consequences that come with that. There's a couple of things that people thought would happen when the Queen died automatically, in addition to those things. So once Charles became king, I saw a few places reporting this, William did not automatically become Prince of Wales. Charles actually had to create him and Kate, Prince and Princess of Wales. That's something that the sovereign determines. That was not something they got automatically. But he did do that. They are Prince and Princess of Wales. The second thing, and this is one thing that does happen automatically, once Charles became king, William, as the oldest child of the king, automatically inherited Charles' Duchy of Cornwall. And in addition to being Duke of Cambridge, he's also now Duke of Cornwall. And what is the Duchy of Cornwall? So the Duchy of Cornwall used to be defined like an area. And so a duchy is like, think of it as like a county in a state. A duchy is sort of like that. And these things date back to the Middle Ages when, like certain lords got revenues from their underlings, and they got revenues from there, and so on down the chain. The revenues made their way up. The dukes paid their tribute to the king. Oh, Squeaky's here. He's squeaking at me, my deaf cat. So back in the day, a duchy was a defined area, and basically the duke held most of the land, or if not all of the land in the duchy, and everyone who was entitled to grants of land had to pay basically like rent or tribute or whatever up to the duke. So that doesn't work that way anymore, obviously. But the duchy, which is traditionally held by the eldest son of the monarch, does make money because the crown still owns quite a bit of land and has like a working farm. Prince Charles had a village. There's other businesses. There's commercial property, rental property. They also own, I believe, if I'm correct, there's property in London that belongs, even though it's not in out where the duchy is, there's property in London that belongs to the Duchy of Cornwall. And believe it or not, the profits from those holdings net about $20 to $25 million a year, which technically is tax-free, so that's money that goes right into Prince William's pocket now. So Prince William has a guaranteed income. Well, I say guaranteed, depending on how the finances are for the year. He has an income coming from the Duchy of Cornwall. Now, traditionally, the Dukes of Cornwall in recent years have chosen to voluntarily pay tax on their earnings, which I think is probably a good thing and a good PR move for sure. So in short, William did become the Duke of Cornwall automatically. He got that land transferred to him once Charles became king, but he did not automatically become Prince of Wales. And the reason why Archie and Lilibet did not become Prince and Princess until the Queen died was not because the royal family hates them, but because they weren't entitled to be a Prince and Princess until they became grandchildren of the king. So because they were great-grandchildren, they weren't entitled. So the only exception to that is Prince William's eldest son, because he's in the direct line of succession. So, I mean, when I say line, I mean like his father's next to become king, then he is. So he was automatically entitled to be a prince when he was born, and the other two kids, that was at the discretion of the Queen. So, you know, that doesn't, well, I don't know, that kind of doesn't look that great, because she did make William's children Prince and Princess, but didn't automatically do that when Archie and Lilibet were born. So, you know, I don't know, but they weren't entitled to it is basically what my point is. So Meghan wasn't slighted. And I don't understand sometimes the things that people grab onto. It's like, oh, Meghan cried at the Queen's funeral, and there was a big war about, oh, it's a little too late for her to be crying, you know, and it was like, oh, come on, people. This is like a time for mourning. Cut the crap. I think she was genuinely upset. I know the Queen liked her. I know that they got on fairly well. And, you know, she's entitled to grieve. And people were bitching about, oh, Meghan and Harry held hands leaving the Queen's coffin while it was lying in state. And, you know, somebody pointed out, and this, I did not know this, believe it or not, because Harry and Meghan technically aren't subject to royal protocol, there was nothing wrong with them holding hands. So, much ado about nothing, people, as Shakespeare would say. Get a freaking life and focus on some stuff that really matters, okay? And again, I'm not a hater of Meghan. I'm not a lover of Meghan. But, you know, I do think that she's a little naive in some of the things that she assumed, I guess, when she joined the royal family. And I do express my disappointment that she didn't buck up and accept the role she was taking on instead of trying to make it into something that she wanted it to be. So, you know, you get what's inside the tin, people. And if you become a royal, you better be prepared, because there are certain things expected of you. And if you don't have the stomach for it, then you shouldn't join the royal family, okay? That's a choice you make. So Meghan and Harry, I hope that they have some kind of reconciliation with the royal family, and I would like to see them return to some kind of semi-official status, because I think it's very harmful for things to go on the way they are. And I know the Queen didn't want them to have like what they call hybrid duties, where like they would sort of split their time being, you know, doing official things in England and sometime in California. Maybe Charles will be more open to that now that the Queen is gone, because he's not quite as a stickler as his mother was, but that remains to be seen. It would be nice to see them come back at least part-time to get back involved so that we can get rid of all of this fabricated War of the Windsors that continues to swirl around. But anyway, so I hope you learned something from this. If you liked the video, please please subscribe. We're only 60 people away from 17,000 subscribers, and it would be great. Sybil is sleeping upstairs. I'm sorry, you guys, her mouth is bothering her, so she isn't down here. I want to thank all of our supporters. You guys are great. You should be thanking God that this wasn't a video about the Ace family. But I just thought that, you know, this is a hot topic. I thought I would address it, see if it attracts any views, and just see if this was something that maybe caught people's attention. A little diversion from the Ace family nonsense. I want to thank all of our supporters. You guys are great. Like I said, we're only 60 from 17,000. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That would be awesome. And Sybil thanks you, even though she's upstairs. I want to say, you guys, you're always the best family on YouTube. I really love all of you. I appreciate your support. I hope you guys take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.